Wow, it
All right.
asked for consent. That's very cute. It
Yeah.
said, "Oh, the meeting's in recording. Record or leave."
Record or leave. Yes, Zoom is
Awesome.
is a very consensual in nature, so I think it gets the Gen Z vote of confidence there. And yeah, but thank you so much for being here, Pratika. I really appreciate it. And you are such a force to be reckoned with. You have such a powerful and such a unique voice. And I honestly, when I came across your profile on social media and on the internet, I'm like, holy shit, you have done absolutely everything there is in the world of music to offer. You've gone and done absolutely everything. Like, it's crazy. It's very, I don't think you come across anyone who is so genre fluid, and so multifaceted, and for all the right reasons. I think you're serving all the best kind of purposes here with your music. So I really appreciate that, and I really regret that I haven't come across you sooner, because you've been in the game for a long time, and I'm gonna blame the Indian media for not letting me discover you sooner.
Enough with the compliments already. Thank you
I'm
so much. No, I'm really glad that I mean I also do come across much fewer journalists or people who have done their research well. So I'm sure like half the people who even know me for anything hip hop or rap have no idea that I was like this female metalhead bass player and I used to growl in a band and stuff like that. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm thank you so much for like seeing so much of my music, seeing that there is a lot in terms of genres going on. It's just a lot of stuff that I listen to, and I just expect to grow musically overall as opposed to sticking to anything in one style. Even though obviously I have my inclinations towards certain genres, like it would be metal or rock or hip hop.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try as much to listen to as much stuff as I can and approach music also just bringing in all of those influences from everything because that always turns out to be something tastier and something different. And
Absolutely,
that's
yeah.
that's the aim. So yeah.
I'm so glad, yeah. And I did read that you're a bassist, and I found that incredibly cool. And I can see how that ties into your passion for metal and the way that it's helped you evolve. And I'm really curious as to why would you, as a child, I'm sure you picked up bass when you were still pretty young, right? So, as a kid, what made you gravitate to the bass?
Um, I don't know. I just basically failed at playing guitar. Like I tried. I mean, I don't know. Like funnily, the actual story of how I became a bass player, like, of course, I grew to loving playing bass afterwards. But the reason I actually became one is because my brother needed one for a band and he didn't have one. So it was literally, we still like have this joke running where, yeah, like I was just lying around the house and
Uh-huh.
yeah, because I was just there and available, he just picked me up and like put an instrument in my hand and said, like, come on, I'll teach you. And he used to like whack my hand sometimes in the middle and say, oh, it's like sometimes the frets. I had like this uh, fake, not fake, but this Indian make guitar, bass guitar by the name of
Mhm.
Gibson. So it was not a Gibson guitar, but it was a Gibson bass,
Mhm.
and there were huge gaps between each of the frets. Like each fret,
Mhm.
like the top frets were like really big, and like my hand
Oh.
wouldn't stretch from like one place to another because I was younger also, and my hand was much smaller than this.
Mm.
And yeah, so he'd just like whack my hand and be like, "Hey, stop playing pregnant notes, man! Like you can't play," because I hit like notes between the
Mm.
fret and stuff. So
Mhm.
I was not very enthused to play the bass as such at that time. But then I kind of grew to like it. I saw a lot
Mhm.
of bass players that I really liked, and I mean, obviously, I looked up to after that. Steve Harris, for example, from Iron Maiden, is a very big
Mhm.
metal band. Uh, Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like these are exceptional bass players, where who even in their own genres just had their own thing going on, and they were so fluid and so uh, amazing. I mean, I was just I it blew my mind, and I was like, wow, I want to do stuff like that. I want to play that. But it didn't get too far because yeah, then the band broke up and whatever else happened. But that is actually my introduction to bass. That's how I started playing bass, and yeah, I maybe played properly till I was 16 or 17. I must have started when I was 12 or something like that. I always had the interest of being in a band, so that kind of always drove me towards. I always also wanted to learn an instrument. I learned piano when I was very young, maybe in the senior KG, first standard, as that type. I
Oh,
used to go
damn.
for piano classes because the piano teacher in our school at that time in Bandra was very. She said like she has a wonderful voice. She should also play an instrument or something. It'll complement. And she has that interest. Like I overall had like this interest of composing. So sometimes even in like school plays and stuff like that, if there were a choir or a musical that was going to happen, I used to learn all the harmonies and I used to teach the harmonies to separate groups, and then we had to stand and do it together. So I was always like this person very involved in like the arranging and composing process, and that is something that I'm learning to grow to be now, where I've recently started producing things and stuff. So yeah, it's just wow, it goes a long way from there to there, but that's what it was.
But that's incredible, and I love how your journey started. By I find that hilarious that your brother's band needed a bassist. He's like the best jugadi of let me get my sister in on this. But I think that's evolved, like because you have created a lot of music with your brother, and I don't know how you guys are like the dream team when it comes to like sibling. The very I think even like Jack White and the Seven White Stripes and like they're very few sibling teams in the music industry, but like all of them are so good. They're so unbelievably good because they
Yeah.
spend their whole lives together. They know their music style and taste and everything inside out. And yeah, so what's that experience been like? Because with my brother, he's into production, and I dabble a little in like piano and composing, but we cannot get together and create something at all. It just will not happen. I don't think we can get anything done. But I really respect that you guys are a team and you work together and you create beautiful art. So yeah, how's that evolution been, creating music along with your brother?
I have a very interesting answer for this actually. So it goes back to how my brother and I kind of grew up in the kind of neighborhood that we did, which was like a very ghetto-ish type place somewhere in the middle of Bandra, between the bazaar and Leelavati Hospital. There's a place called Chapel Road, which is a beautiful place. It had like a very homely environment. Everyone's houses were like really close to each other, like a cow town kind of area. And there were like in every smaller neighborhood at that time, there was a lot of disturbance in general, a lot of weird people, a lot of money problems, everything from rape to like prostitution to everything this and stuff like this literally happening in our neighborhood and like behind our house. And also from a very young age, Pritesh was very protective of me. Pritesh is my brother. He's also a producer by the name Prabhune, which is our surname also, but fun on the spelling of the day. um, both of us, he from a very young age, I think, felt protective of me, and I used to always look up to him as like my elder brother. So because also both my parents used to work, and my grandmom was also she used to take a lot of tuitions and all at home. So we mostly had each other's company, and he kind of became like a role model to me. I always tried to follow and do things that he was doing. So even when he started off with this interest of like buying a guitar, because music was always in my mom's side of the family, and that is where we were staying in Bandra. And that's when my so also we used to get like these compilation CDs and cassettes from neighbors and friends used to pass around like these music CDs and cassettes or something. And uh, we heard a lot of that music together, even though I'm like 7 years younger than him. Everyone thinks he's the younger sibling, but I'm the younger sibling. He's 7 years younger. I'm 7 years younger than him, and even though like because most of the time I used to spend with him, I used to pretty much hear the same stuff. And I was always more inclined to this music because slowly I started listening. I started getting into looking up lyrics. I started getting into understanding what people are talking about. Then slowly the transition happened where suddenly in these CDs and cassettes we started finding these one-off songs by Nirvana or Led
Mm.
Zeppelin, and all of that started creeping in, and we're like, whoa, this heavier side, Linkin Park happened. Oh shit, Linkin Park was like a big thing for us.
Oh
So,
yeah.
and just listening to all of that together, having the ambition of like both wanting to be musicians and like going up on stage, to Pritesh actually buying an instrument. He played guitar, then he played bass. He was always a backing vocalist. I could see him doing vocals also firsthand. And then he finally also played drums, and drums was something he settled down into a little more, but that happened much later. So at a time when Pritesh just started playing drums, there were these instruments already at home because we had bought them anyway.
Mm.
So yeah, that's how we also started playing music together, and we used to just hang out so much together. Our thought process has been so much of the same. We've gone through and seen so much of the same stuff since we were kids, and the music that we listened to at that time kind of corresponded with how we were feeling and what our environment was. And it's just like two individuals who were in the right place, and we just happened to be family. So it was great for us. Like it was just like, Arey, this is also so convenient because same ghar mein, like just also he was
Mm.
like here, we just smoked, he's just gone out. Like it's all the same now. Like it's just I think how we grew up, and we're used to it, and we love each other. We really respect each other, and yeah, we still make music together, and that's the evolution of Pritesh playing drums in a band, and I used to play bass, and then I transitioned to vocals, to like Pritesh producing songs that I'm rapping over and singing over even now. So that's it's killer. He's there. He's like my pillar.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's such a super wholesome story. I don't know why there isn't a movie about this. I feel like Gully Boy should have been this story,
Arre,
but
arre,
it's
arre.
really cute. It's really adorable, and it's a wonderful relationship that you have, and and I love that the bands that you've mentioned. I think you can really see the influence of like Linkin Park and Red Hot Chili Peppers in the kind of music that you're making
For
and your
sure, for sure.
evolution. Yeah, I mean, your evolution from like being a metal vocalist to now I mean, you're doing some crazy things, man. You're in a rap duo, which is I think India's first female rap duo.
One tribe, yeah.
Yeah, insane. And yeah, and then there was a track that he released with Wild Women as well. So yeah, I don't know how you're managing all of these music projects, and I really think there are like probably a ton of music projects out there, and that's not even an exaggeration. I think if I ask you, you'll be like, yeah, so I have like 1,000 things working in the sideline. And
There is
yeah,
stuff in the works. Yeah, there is for sure.
yeah, it's crazy how you're doing. And like, forget the work itself, how you handling so many social media accounts is my real question. How you keeping track of like all of these projects is going on. But it's really insane how you're managing all of this. So it's really cool. And yeah, that brings me to a question that I've been considering for a little while about your social media identity, and especially with respect to female musicians. What I've seen is you know one I have to say this about your social media profile. I think every single post that you put out has a lot of purpose, and you're sending out a message. You are communicating with your audience in a way that projects your musicality and your personality. And I think it's a really healthy communication that you have with social media, because you don't have any pretenses, and you're sending out a very meaningful and a very powerful message. When I see the social media accounts of like a lot of indie female musicians, not restricted to India, but just I see that there's a lot of focus on their appearance, on their attire. And yeah, what are your thoughts about that? Do you think that that is something that female musicians are required to do, or just musicians in general experience this sort of pressure?
I think that a lot of people have figured in terms of what people want. That is something people are looking towards. It's something that
Mhm.
naturally people are gravitated to on Instagram, because Instagram is more image and video heavy than anything else. So if you're marketing through a medium like that, now sorry, the marketing thing also comes to me because like all the jobs I've ever had have been like in marketing since I graduated. So I've just been observing this specifically for many years because I'm also a part of the music industry. I worked behind at festivals, programmed artists. I've done like a lot of that stuff also. Yeah, It's just that I think they find, I don't know, some people enjoy it. Like the last few pictures that I've put up, I was just like, yo, I just want to have fun and try to put on some colors and like, do some makeup and stuff. Because as you can see, like now also I'm not presented. I hate that shit. Like I mean, it's to an extent I would do it. Like if I had to do it for like a purpose or something, or if I see how it makes sense to a lot of people because it does attract attention more than it would if you put up like a regular post. So that's probably why some people are doing it and why some people feel pressured to do it if they are trying very sincerely to put themselves out and actually be acknowledged enough, I guess. I don't know where exactly it comes from. It's probably that. Um, I refrain from doing that because it's like, see, for the kind of music and the the profile that I have out there, I could have had like 10, 15,000 followers, easy. But because when people ever come to my page, they are so confused about what music I actually listen to, what do I do, why is there a why is there a metal song in her stories, and then suddenly there's a post with live on, like what is happening? Like people are very confused when they come to my profile. So even like so because this, it's all related to this question about what people are looking for. So this streak I had where I put up like 5 or 6 pictures continuously of me like looking nice, or my followers must have gone up by like 70, 80. But
Wow.
then randomly, this is just like out of mere observation. I've not really gone into the analytics to see, how is this going to work, even though I love experimenting with my profile that way. So it helps when I'm working with other people.
Mhm.
So yeah, and then suddenly you put something serious, and then you just start losing followers, or people are not very familiar with your style of music, or if I upload like a video of me growling or something, even on my stories, it's so stupid. I lose like 8, 10 followers, and I'm like, wow, this audience is volatile. Like, is it me? They cannot take that. I don't know that I can listen to and I enjoy doing different vocal styles or different kinds of music. So yeah, people are attracted to things that have a format. I guess they're not very used to not conforming to that format. So when they get used to and they see that someone has like, even I believe like individuals kind of build this aesthetic about them also on the internet. So very often when someone's doing a really good job, those people do attract a lot of more people. And it's great if that comes together with a plan where you're actually promoting music and people fall in love with both. So
Mhm.
that is eventually, I think, what a lot of people are trying to achieve. So I wouldn't like this. I mean, I wouldn't disregard the fact that people do that, but I'm just not very naturally one of those people. It's just for me, all these things happen as like collateral. जब कुछ हो रहा था और उसमें photos निकल गए, तो आए हैं अच्छे photos. It's like that literally. So yeah, that's pretty much that. I hope people never feel the pressure of it. It should
Yeah,
come
I hope
naturally
so.
to you. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Like I love that you have a fun attitude towards it. Ki, haan, like I was feeling bindas, so that's why this is me in my element. So yeah, I get that, and I think it's a wonderful tone of positivity that you put out in that message. The reason why I feel like this, like you mentioned, this is the audience sort of wants to profile you, wants to put you in a box. The reason I feel this is concerning is because when an artist, like you said, they might be putting out posts which are focused on their appearance or their attire, and those start raking in a lot of followers. What will happen is that the algorithm will start pushing out that post,
Yeah.
and it's very easy then to get typecast and that as that person who is putting out pictures of their appearance or their attire rather
Right.
than
With
their
not
own
so much
artist.
attention to the music they're actually putting out or what they're trying to promote. That is
Yeah,
exactly what happens. As I told you, the simple example of followers, like when they heard the music, it wasn't of interest anymore. They must have been like, yeah, what the fuck? And just
exactly.
like, whatever. I came to follow his profile because I saw some girl with like cleavage. So, yeah, that's straight up to be like very honest and straight up about it. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, it's true. And yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you that we shouldn't experience the pressure uh, to put out any sort of outward appearances that aren't necessary. But I also feel like there is a sort of codependency that often is developed between a female artist and their
Yeah,
audience. A pattern that I have seen, which is very recurring, is that the success of a female artist is always attributed to their producer. So, even if you see like huge artists, like the biggest artists like Beyonce, Rihanna, you always see that there will be a ton of posts out there that are crediting their music to
yeah,
their producers are usually male, or like their managers, management producers. These are usually like very male dominated fields. And do you think that still holds true today to an extent? Especially, I think, because in your balance, you have a very healthy dynamic with your brother. You both are like, you need, especially with something like rap, I think both the production and like, the writing itself both hold equal gravitas. You can't have one without the other.
true.
So yeah, what's your take on the, producers trying to come in and try to like take the credit, not even even if they're not doing it intentionally, somehow like the credit still ends up going to them.
Right. So, normally internationally and also over here for a many big artists, there are people who specifically just write the song, which is even arrangement and the structure of the song. There are people who will write the lyrics of the song, and these will be like multiple people. Sometimes you'll see credits running into even 8 or 10 people who've contributed to like one song. If you take, songs by bigger artists like I don't know, take your Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift or any of these really big artists, and you go into their credits and you see that there are many different responsible people. But when it comes to like indie artists like us, we are pretty much you do your part, I do my part, sort of. Like there are a lot of people who are produced because sometimes they are confused about what direction they're taking or whether they are using the best of the words or lyrics, so they would bring in like a lyricist or they'd have someone help them with that. But for like indie musicians like us, it's I pretty much produce everything to do with my vocals in a song. Like even like Pritesh does have input sometimes, like interesting smaller ad libs or things I should whisper or say something like that. But otherwise, the rest of the song, the harmonies, everything is like designed by me. So it's it's very different from how it works. I'm sorry, can you just tell me the question again?
About how a lot of male producers or male managers end up getting credit for a female artist's work and her work gets undermined. Do you see that trend happening, or
I don't actually see that. See, in India, there's always been this very focused angle on the person who becomes famous or the star is the person you see visually on the camera singing the song. Like often, like now, of course, it's established that the singers, like people know when you hear a Sunidhi Chauhan track. Like
Hmm.
you'll know when you hear like a famous singer's voice now, but earlier it was always attributed pretty much to the person they used to see. So even now, if it's a music artist like that independently, when you see a music artist in the video, you directly kind of connect the fact that this is the artist and this is the person who made the song. You don't really go so much into the back or the credits. At least around any audience I've seen in India, इतना भाव नहीं मिलता है. Like
Hmm.
producers and lyricists especially are the ones who are treated the worst. मतलब they get the least attention. And in Bollywood, so
Uh,
don't even ask. Bollywood, it's like there is a music director and like everything else is the music director. So that's where like now they've learned because a lot of people have spoken up about it. They do give credits to music producers or composers or arrangers. There's a huge line of people into songwriting and song making in Bollywood specifically. So I mean, I think it's great that producers, when their involvement actually exists, I think it's great that producers and people like that get credit. But if they're not that involved, then it's obviously I haven't come across something like this recently. So I'm like glad that a lot of singers and producers who do work behind the scenes and don't usually get seen get that kind of recognition.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely very comforting to hear. Because of late there was this story by Bjork, who's yeah, and she talked about how she had worked on the production of her entire album, and she said that it was almost like a tapestry that is like very very intricate, the micro beats that she was working with.
Yeah.
And then there was this other male producer who came and worked with her, and like he just put like like very basic additional touches, and not
Claim that he
that
is the
much.
producer.
He actually didn't say anything, but Spotify, when they were told to give credits and when they're giving royalty out of the track, they chose to give the bulk of that to the male producer. And yeah, that I think more
Oh,
than the audience itself, because yeah, like you said, with the audience, उनको गाना चाहिए, they want to enjoy, they don't really want to think about the workings of what's going on
yeah,
inside. But I think what's more concerning is, the change in the shift in industry, because no, it's not like there's like a big boss sitting behind Hollywood or Bollywood who's like
yeah.
controlling and like passing on his own ideals. I think with the onset of streaming platforms like Spotify, I think it's made music a lot more accessible than ever.
Absolutely.
Literally anyone can just like buy a mic and start producing music, and like so many of these softwares are also open source, so you can download it and you can teach yourself. So I mean, all of these concepts are absolutely great, but um, what happens when these streaming platforms? One, they're paying like $3 per thousand streams, which is
Yeah,
ridiculous. I'm sure
yeah.
Spotify can afford to play a little more than that. But do you think that giving monopoly to these streaming platforms, as to you decide key who should get the money, and you decide whether the algorithm basically decides whether I should pump this song out to more people or not? Do you think that kind of monopoly is fair, and is it giving the artist a clear picture of, okay, I'm putting so much effort into creating this, do I know where it's going? Is there enough transparency on the part of the streaming platforms?
I I think, yeah, this has always been a debatable issue for a very long time, especially concerning Spotify and royalties and how that kind of goes out by the time it reaches the artist, how diluted that amount actually gets.
Mhm.
Because again, like, we don't know what features or what in their system is making this calculation and giving this kind of money served to us. But yeah, it does not give many artists any returns on their investment for doing stuff like this. Like, at a stage like mine or any other indie artist that I know right now, we are not making enough money to survive out of music. And I think that it has kind of changed to how much we would have made earlier had we still had the trend of selling CDs or cassettes, which of course in its turn also was another investment. But there were sure short returns because people used to buy that physical stuff. And that's why a lot of people still believe in collecting, in buying vinyls or buying CDs, buying cassettes, because cassettes to obsolete ho gaya pretty much now. But buying all of these things because they know that it kind of gives something directly to the artist. For sure, your amount, say, like, something's directly going to reach, and it's a very fixed amount because there's a price, and then that price is divided into this. So there's like, you set out your production in that, you set out how much, if a label has invested, the label gets out of that percentage until they recover whatever part of their sales, which is all, they're all definitive numbers, right? So with selling something like your merchandise or things like that, you're going to get money directly that is going to reach you properly. Here with this, the problem is the calculation that happens inside before the amount is presented to you. So not many people are convinced with how a lot of platforms algorithms work. And like, I don't want to pick any sides because I have been playlisted and I work with a lot of these people. But you will see, if you go like into any backend and you are browsing through how much money you've ever made off your music, you will always see, like, I've noticed Apple Music pays the highest. Apple Music is like highest, matlab thoda leagues higher. Like, it's strange that the next person who pays after Apple Music would be either like a Spotify or a JioSaavn or something, but like at a quite a considerable gap from each other, like 10 rupees versus 3 rupees, as a type of gap.
Mm.
So it's yeah, you just wonder why it is different. Maybe because of the model of the platform that both of them use, and maybe we haven't dug so much deep into terms and conditions that are written, that small, tiny blue highlighted thing under something that you have to check mark and say accept. And maybe there's something written up in there, or yeah, maybe we're just missing out on the major calculation of things. And it's just because we also think about it so much, because there is one platform that is actually giving us better returns than the other. Then you wonder and you start questioning the other, and you ask, why is this happening, especially with these kind of platforms? And them being as big, or on a global level, and still your returns for music you put up there is at such a drastic difference from another platform. It's weird. You will question, and that is exactly what people are doing.
Yeah, I'm glad that like people are questioning that, and right, especially now because data privacy has become like a whole thing, right? And I'm glad that you brought up the importance and the control that the algorithm has over us, which I think is a brilliant strategy from like a capitalist perspective, because you
Absolutely.
can't really blame a music mafia ki, oh, this guy is the reason that you don't see enough women in music. It's just the algorithm doing his job. It's programming. We can't help it. So it's a good way to absolve the blame, I feel. But mm,
That's why, like, most people just tell me, you know what, if you want people to listen or buy your music, just put it
mm,
up on Bandcamp. Because, like, you for
exactly.
sure know, if you put it up on Bandcamp, that you are going to get that money there and then, and the percentage, everything is so clear. Like, there's
Mm.
no, and it's monthly, it's whatever. There's so many things you can do with Bandcamp. And I have been a fool to not have done that up till now. So I am actually going to go and make a Bandcamp page for myself. This conversation has enlightened me and like reignited that go build a Bandcamp page. So I'm going to do that.
That's a very smart idea. I hope that like any other indie musicians listening to this go ahead and start that Bandcamp page. Bandcamp is not promoted me
A
to say this,
lot of
but
Indian bands, especially a lot of metal bands that I know,
yeah,
everybody has a Bandcamp page because they know
really,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the direct ways. I don't
Mhm.
see that so much with other artists. Oh, not at all, actually.
Mm.
Some of them,
Mm.
but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think yeah, that's a really good message to put out. That yeah, Bandcamp I think is a wonderful platform to actually promote yourself as an artist. So that's incredible. And also secures, I think it secures a good level of transparency with the artist, which is also very important. And yeah, hopefully we'll pay a little more attention to the terms and conditions going forward
Yeah,
about
yeah.
all these platforms. But yeah, I mean, I know that like there's been a lot of talk about like social media platforms and online and everything, but like, or kya hai life mein we travel to, like we're not really going out anyway, so this is basically going to be the meat of the
Yes, the
subject.
world through this window of
The
a.
world through this window. And especially I think women are no strangers to incidents of harassment or discrimination in whatever level. Sometimes it can be really subtle, sometimes it could be like just outright, we will completely judge you based on the basis of your gender, and there's nothing you can do about it. But in terms of since the lockdown, because there's been such an upsurge of online gigs and all these online promotional events, do you see that there has also been a rise of online hate and harassment? Because hey, it's the internet. And do you think that it's just is it going to be a deterrent for potential indie artists to stop putting things out? Because I mean, who can deal with all of this hate, right?
Yeah. I don't know so much about hate, but there have been an increase in the creepers in inboxes and DMs. So yeah, it's just weird that when people literally have nothing to do, this is what they kind of turn towards doing. It's a waste of time also, in my opinion. If you don't like something, you just turn it off. You don't
Mhm.
like spend the rest of your life arguing why it made no sense to you, as opposed to all of the people who liked something. So I think that's the thing that a lot of people spend and waste their time on. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Hate online, I mean, it's just a lot of vela people. At the end of the day, it's a lot of bored people who, I have just seen this. I haven't experienced any of this personally. On just hop onto someone's live stream and you have people talking all kinds of shit. It could be a little discouraging maybe for newer artists who are looking at this, but I don't think they should take too much home from the discouragement part of it. because at the end of the day, if someone likes who you are and likes what you're doing, it's not going to make a difference, and it shouldn't make a difference to you, because if you are confident and you put your music out, then you've done it for yourself. You've done it to all of for all of the people who like resonate with it. And of course, it's not going to make sense to everyone. Music will Any one type of music is never going to make sense to everyone. So if someone doesn't understand it or someone doesn't gravitate towards it, it's absolutely fine. I think more than paying attention to how much hate has increased, I think people need to focus on how much they can avoid hate by just ignoring it, plainly ignoring it. Like there's no other way around it, because people are always going to hate. And by now, in by like 2020, 21, ये haters going to hate थोड़ा overdone हो गया है. So even it's just ignore it like it doesn't exist. Like I just don't pay attention to haters, or like I have more important funny things going on my profile, like those guys nowadays who, if you use hashtags, say promote it on so and so page, DM me for promotion details on so and so page. So like those fuckers are the bigger problem right now. That is what we should be dealing with, guys, not people who are bored and hating on us. Like that's not important anymore.
Yeah, and I can imagine how much more it must annoy you, because you have a marketing background and you you know that there is a
Yeah,
process
and I
to
know
do these
how things
things.
are priced also, and I know, and I'm like, "तो क्या है? How many people do you go and like? Sorry, pardon my French, but कितने लोग को चुतिया बनाएगा ना? Like, I mean, how many people are you gonna fuck with like that? Like, just calm down. Like, they incessantly keep sending these messages everywhere. And yeah, I think that's the more annoying thing that grew out of this. I don't think anyone should take back any negative feelings or hate or anything, because we kind of just overcame two waves of a virus that we were pretty much, to be very honest, absolutely not prepared for. And in whatever capacity many people could do, they did their best. So the last thing you want to take back from the internet is more junk. So yeah, I just hope everyone out there and artists who are trying to put their music out are not discouraged by these kind of things and people, and they just keep doing what they're doing because for the satisfaction of themselves also. I do just sometimes I have songs that I like around that I've never released because I just did them because I felt like at that time. It doesn't necessarily mean that every song I make is something I'm going to release. So even if it means you're making music and you're keeping it to yourself sometimes like that, that is also fine. But don't be discouraged. And when you can, step out and like put things that you think have the potential to do well. That's that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
I
mean,
talk too much. Do I talk too much for a podcast?
no, you don't talk enough. I really, I can't, like, I can't get enough of this, honestly. And I mean, I did check out a lot of your music, and I have to tell you, I absolutely love Survival. You have a voice of gold, and it's just, it's very, I think it's very clear from your music that you genuinely enjoy doing this. It's not only that, you have, of course, you have a world of talent, and an incredible team, and really an army behind you that's giving you all this support and all this strength to create something so incredible. But I think it's the fact that you genuinely enjoy this, which is so fresh and like so refreshing to hear. I think there's nothing better than watching someone do what they love. It's so nice. I think that's why everyone's a fan of Bob Ross, just painting in a quiet corner. But yeah, thank you for creating, and I hope that you never stop creating. um yeah, absolutely. And since we talked so much about these streaming platforms and all these promotional messages and the way that they impact artists, I wanted to talk about something that is not really impacting artists as a presence, basically because of the lockdown. It's not happening. So, these gigs and these festivals. And since you've been an organizer at these festivals, and this is something that has popped up in quite a few episodes of Hot Tempo in the past, is that why aren't there more female musicians are being asked to show up at these festivals? Because there was this artist Amrapali who had shown up in the last episode, and she had the most hilarious rant about this. And she said, I've seen the last 10, like for the last 10 years, I've seen the same 10 female artists being called to these festivals and perform the same 10 songs. And yeah, I think everyone's just very frustrated and they want to see where the women are. And do you think what do you think we would need to bring about that sort of change? Do we need a change in management? Do we need a change in thought process? Do you think that it's the fact that women are not showing up? I mean, as outsiders, like, to the industry, we don't really know, what the management's thought process is. So how do we manifest this change and actually bring about more female artists?
I think there are a lot of female artists, but I don't think a lot of them are probably seen, or I don't think a lot of them. I don't know what it is exactly. Like every time I've ever worked with programming, I've initially I'd never thought about the balance, because I used to just, like, when you're looking at programming, sometimes it's just very objectively ki, wow, this artist is doing really well right now. Oh, this artist would perfectly fit this stage of this festival. So you just look at it like that, and then after you look at the total and you're like, oh shit, but there's no female artist. And that happens very often to organizers, I'm sure. Like I've not only been the only one. And that's when you question, like, is it because I'm not seeing some female artists somewhere, or have I not like looked enough, or am I just seeing the things that are being highlighted by other friends and promoters that I know, or other artists who are also famous? Like, you come to know about these things from some sources, and unless you like really dig and look for more people, you don't really find them. And I've seen very few organizers actually doing that. So everyone was probably pretty much just hopping onto the trend of which artists are doing well right now, and in that the representation of females must feel as well. I appreciate now that streaming platforms have like playlists and stuff like that thing. Women of India, for example, on Spotify. It's a very good playlist, has a lot of women. Again, you will see within that playlist also there are names repeated. So it's not like it's that people aren't just seeing female artists sometimes. This is another perspective. It's more like just the stuff that is famous is what we are showing, or is
Yeah.
what we are looking to program, because we know that this will definitely work. So often, if the representation of male and female within that spotlight thing that we are taking to program is not a big or famous. Now, see, the thing is, it kind of pricks me a little more now, because I understand how it is to be an artist in this place, an independent artist, not as someone who was in a band, or who would have probably never played 10,000 of those festivals anyway because I was a metal band. So this never get programmed on me. But but yeah, so now I have this perspective because I can see it, and I see it from both sides. I've always tried to see it from both sides, because as an artist, this is how, I mean, a lot of artists would feel. And it's not like there aren't really good female artists. There are very good artists everywhere if you just like really look. Like I'm surprised that a lot of festivals have not programmed a lot of women. I think I read somewhere in even a statistic that women are hardly 15 or 16% of the entire lineup.
2%.
2%. 2%
2%.
is even worse. And this is some Indian statistic, no?
Yeah,
If
it
you're
is.
taking
If you
like
look at
major
VH1.
festivals in India, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's, it's kind of weird. I think it sucks that people aren't doing enough of research. And the thing is, festivals need to realize that a lot of people get opportunities to become famous when they bring artists there. So they're not necessarily always supposed to be looking for artists who are already big or already doing well. But then again, for a festival, it would work like that, because the festival is trying to draw in as many people as they can. So it's a very weird gray area that I don't know how it can be resolved on a management point of view, but I'm just saying because I kind of get it from both perspectives. But yeah, I think like it is possible to program more female artists. I think people need to do like a little more research and have like a little more space for more of that to happen, as just opposed to how much ever fits within the trend. And obviously the trend is not always set by women, because it's mostly set by places and people and companies and male dominated environments. So you see where it comes from, like a whole chain of possibly misogyny.
Yeah, and definitely, I think that's very beautifully summarized. And yeah, there's going to be effort required from all ends, from the artists to do more to on the basis of their work. So, keep creating, and like try not to get discouraged, even if you feel like the odds are stacked against you. For the festivals to not just say that, okay, like this, we know this formula works, so, we're going to stick with this. But like, I think it's somewhat on their own is also because I think it's always art that should influence society and not the other way around. We don't know what we want. Okay. We're all like, collectively, we're all idiots. So,
One beautiful thing, though, I must say, if I may interrupt you, one very beautiful thing that has come out of all of this is how women are actually standing the fuck up.
yeah.
How
Yeah.
women are putting their foot down and coming out like nobody's business. There are so many artists, all so many just mostly independent artists. There are entire communities, like there's Wild Women, where we're trying to get more graffiti artists, more other people in different elements of hip hop, dancers, break dancers. Like you never know. Like there are so many people. So Wild Women is that kind of environment. Crunk culture has Coven Code, which is for like electronic female artists, and there's just so many newer things that have started from there. There, like Wild Women did a cipher. Then there was this Rani cipher, which was really big. uh yeah, so there's a lot of like female drawn energy coming together and just like putting hardcore like stuff out, completely produced and done by females. The first Wild Women track that we worked on, I shot that video. Like just the whole video was me putting a camera on a tripod, clicking play, and everyone in that frame one by one, each MC coming out, and then those road shots were all handheld shots like that. I just came home, edited the video. It was ready in 2 days. I sent it out to press and done. Like that. It was such a within us kind of project. Like we could execute all of that so fast. Obviously, there are some other people like where we recorded vocals, or even TNS who mixed and mastered the track. So there were other. We're not against working with guys or something, but it's just very empowering to see that in these times there are women who are coming together, combining forces, and actually doing something. And very honestly, like whenever people you'll hear people talking about how women don't like to work with each other, and how there's this very like kuskat attitude towards there's you'll not work with someone else because you find them like you see them as like a competitor or things like that. uh, a lot of that, surprisingly, for Kranti Nari, who is with me in One Tribe and who's also a very prolific Hindi rapper and artist. She's also like an illustrator. She's a designer. She fucking paints. She does graffiti. She's super talented. And her and I, despite like being very so heavily involved in our own fields of work, when we come together, we're just like, wow, come on, fuck yeah, let's get shit done. Like it's so exciting because like we kind of share that bond and determination to make a certain kind of music also, like to just spread that awareness and to show people that it's not difficult for more women to work together. And very often you need to keep all of these differences and weird things you think aside and just work towards making something beautiful. Because hey, if you're not getting selected for it on higher levels, or if people in like male dominated industries and rooms do not think that you can be out there, or you're fit enough, or do not want to hear your message, it's absolutely fine. You can still do it yourself. And that is something that I've also learned over the past 2 years. Barely I've been releasing music independently for like 1.5 years now, I think. So it's crazy. I started last April with releasing songs. Like I have a fuck ton of them. That's it. But it was like a very recent thing, and just that seeing around everyone, all women have become so strong and have started standing up for themselves really makes me happy. And I'm also a part of that movement. So I'm like really proud and enthused and thrilled to do anything that has to do with other women, because women are fucking awesome, dude. Like I wouldn't be able to say this enough. Like I just had to say it like this. Like everything I said kind of led to it, but yeah, I really
Yeah,
respect
I
and
can't share
appreciate
that
like
sentiment more.
they are amazing on so many levels. Like they hit the emotional and the understanding side of your psyche like no one else. Like I'm not saying that the male gender lacks empathy. Of course, I love guys. I've had many amazing men and boyfriends in the past, lovely family members also that I live with right now. But I just I don't know. I just feel like they understand all of that. Like they have learned so much from their experience also of dealing with patriarchy, as is very generally in Indian society and the world at large, that they have kind of learned and absorbed so much understanding from all of that, that when they do something, they just come out better, or they just like do it with 10 times more the conviction or the determination despite all of the things that are trying to put them down. So that's what I find. Like, I'm just sharing this because, like, I don't know, I just got a moment to speak and appreciate how beautiful women are and how they should always work together. So yeah, everybody, you, me, everyone's like, everyone has something, man. I just feel so bad when patriarchy has to come in the way and like shun so much of the talent, that just because of some stupid fucking gender disparity. Like it really somewhere pricks me inside. And yeah, that's why I'm very eager and ready to share, happy to promote anything to do, anything and everything to do with women. Like, we are powerful, man. I can't say more.
Absolutely. I'm teary-eyed now. That was a
Me
beautiful
too. I was
monologue.
almost teary when I was saying it. And then I was like, hold that compassion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
but it's so true. Oh my goodness. I think yeah, I can't see more women getting together. It really feels like when women come together and create something, it really feels like heaven on earth. Because now you have this amazing sister, you have this person who just gets you. And it's so beautiful what you have with
Yeah,
Kranti.
yeah.
And
I felt
yeah,
that so much with Krantinari. Like, it's insane. Like, Ashwini and I have gotten really close. Like, we celebrated our as our 1 year of friendship some month back or something.
that's
We're
so
not even
cute.
friends for that long. Can you imagine? Not even friends
Oh,
for that long. And we just, music ke through, we just instantly connected. Like, it was insane. And it's not even like I'm some very experienced rapper or something. I probably come from a thorough musical background, which is why I get how it works. And because I've had such a strong backing in hearing so much heavier, more complex music, when it's broken down to me in like simpler beats and stuff, it's way easier and fun to manipulate and kind of play around with. So I probably got the percussive element of rap because of like how much music I listen to. Besides that, yeah, I just, we were morally and thought wise thoda on the same page of the kind of stuff that we wanted to talk about. And I feel that that is also something that's very rare. Most of the other girls I've seen around are more into like the fun style of hip hop, or happiness and positivity and gratitude, which I get and I absolutely enjoy also some female artists like that. But I've always thought that it would be more of an impact if, while in this time there are so many women speaking about things that are very personal to them, there are people who also question how society is seeing all of this. There are people who question to what extent a woman can speak about what kind of topic. It's deeper than this. So it just made so much sense that both of us, when we resonate like this as like human beings, and we can kind of channel that into our art, then it would just be something very good. Like, maybe it's like a, I don't know, maybe it's like a backdoor, uh, maybe a strategy that subconsciously erupted in my mind to make sure that people pay attention to important things we're supposed to say. And therefore I've like channeled it into the, oh, let's two women first rap duo do this evil experiment on everyone. But no, that's not what it is. It was just majorly, I was really happy with being around another female artist who got it, who wanted to speak about similar stuff and be more conscious in nature about what's happening around us, how much we can deal with, why women are staying silent in different parts of society. Like, her debut song was Kranti Nari. She's like a hardcore badass feminist. Okay, she also has a lot to say. Her first song was basically about how a woman, Kranti Nari, her title track was about how a woman always just bears with her mouth shut and just keeps going on her journey without asking for anything or a question. And it's also quite empowering when a name like Kranti Nari happens too. Like, everybody I've ever spoken to has always been like, dude, wow, dude, that is a lit name. And like, everyone
it's
keeps telling her it's
catchy.
that.
It really
It's a
is.
catchy, it's a really catchy name. And And she is like that, and to like a great extent she does everything in her capacity. And like I'm just really excited when I see women like this around. I'm like, wow, dude, like I thought I was doing something, or maybe I was just not doing enough. And like, suddenly one day you see some video of her on the internet where she's gone to some beach and she's removing like plastic bags, digging sand and like removing plastic bags and shit. And people who really stand by what they say, like, not those people who are sitting behind fucking keyboards and like fighting with someone on the internet or shouting at celebrities, why are you doing something? Bitch, are you doing something? Like, are you're sitting and talking from like that perspective? It's I That's what. So I just really appreciated and love the fact that she's very physically and mentally involved in everything that she's trying to put across and say. And whether it's whatever, like whether it's protests or whether it's where all human beings actually get to stand and say something for their rights kind of places, I'm very happy to like be associated with a person like that, dude, who's like straight up. Like I feel like okay, thoda company aa gaya. It's nice.
That's beautiful, really. And I'm so glad that you guys are, releasing all of these singles out of the writer's warehouse. And I think this is the best way to manifest change. We talk about how the industry needs to change its mindset and all of those things, but I really think that movement needs to be led by women creating incredible things. And there's no shortage of women doing that. And I think it's only going to be accelerated by women coming together in this community. And it's beautiful. So really, I'm so excited for all of the things that you're going to put out through One Tribe or through Wild Women or by yourself. It's just it's a very, very interesting trajectory that you're on right now. And yeah, I would love to congratulate you for everything that you've accomplished so far and wish you all the best for like whatever projects are in the works right now. You're working on a ton of things. And also, you mentioned that like when you look at all these people and you feel like you're not doing enough. I think definitely like imposter syndrome and like this, it's a very, very common emotion to have for any creator. I really think that it's all very common to question, am I doing enough? But I just want you to know that you have impacted the kind of impact that you've created for a lot of people. And I have no doubt that it's going to inspire a lot of women to take up music or to take up anything that they want to. Because I think just a few years ago, maybe we didn't see women with that level of empowerment, you know
Yeah.
and the fact that like there are a lot of little girls growing up right now who have people like you to look up to as role models means that they are going to be even more outspoken, and they're going to be even more fearless than we could even have imagined.
And
So
that's great. That's all I ever wanted to do. Like the entire motto of the motive rather of doing all of this is not about me becoming famous or some awesome person. And even if that does happen by any chance, the whole point is to get the message across. The whole point is, at the end of the day, irrespective of if I'm male, female, or anything that I might be as a person or however, my motto in life is to just make sure the right people hear and see the right messages. People are aware of what is going on around them. It'll only help reach out to more people if I were famous. So okay, if that happens, great. If it doesn't, no loss. But yeah, that's the whole point of this. This exercise was never about how great this is going to be or how many places I'm going to travel in the world. I mean, I hope that happens. It's great for that to happen so that I could just speak to so many more people from like different cultures and things like that. But yeah, it's more about the message than anything else. It's not about how fancy someone can be made look. Or not that I'm against anything. I'm open to anything and everything, but it's just that's the moral of my life. I feel is that I need to do something that speaks to people, or even if that changes someone's thought for like a minute or a day, it will make a huge difference to me. I hope I have done that to someone, and I hope to do that to many more people for all the right reasons only.
that's beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And what a beautiful note to close the session on, and really, really appreciate this. So thank you so much. I'm going to press the stop recording, but I